Thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and we are in January of 2023, cruising right along. I keep glancing over to look at my calendar, and I don't have a calendar up anymore. I don't know why I do that. I guess out of habit. Anyway, it is the 15th of January. We're watching some football playoffs on TV. Congratulations. Are in order, I guess, for the Jaguars, who apparently were losing 27 to nothing and then pulled out a win at the very end. I didn't watch the game, but man, I heard it was an incredible comeback. So good for you guys. That was very impressive, even though I didn't watch it. So um, let's talk about some stuff I heard. Okay, you guys know Jeremy Renner, right? Mr. Avenger, Mr. Hawkeye, Mr. Bow and Arrow with all the superpower guys and all that stuff. Um, Apparently he was in a really bad accident around Christmas time. He owns a ranch, I guess, out in Nevada, Reno, Nevada area. And he had a snowplow incident where he was trying to help some people, and I guess he got hurt in the process and ended up in the hospital. And there was discussions over the fact that he may lose a leg, and yet I guess he recently posted a picture of himself on Instagram standing up, saying, "I wish you all a very special night." Apparently, this came out just recently. So I'm glad he's doing well. He's always a fun actor to watch. I really enjoyed him in The Town. If you haven't seen The Town, there's a very cool little premise there between him and Ben Affleck. I think the movie Town was written by Ben Affleck, where they're bank robbers in Boston, and there's a certain area that gets robbed a lot. A lot of banks get robbed on a regular basis. Um, and these two guys are really close friends, and there's a moment where Ben Affleck is upset because someone tried to harm his girlfriend, and so he comes and finds his buddy Jeremy Renner. I forget his character's name on the show, doesn't matter. But I'm sure you've heard the famous line on TikTok or Instagram, or someone's dubbed it on their page, where he comes in the room and he says, "Hey, I need you to come with me. We're going to hurt some people. You can't ask any questions." And Jeremy Renner's character looks at him and he goes, "Whose car are we taking?" That's all he says. "Whose car are we taking?" Um, it's a cool line. Listen, I get it. Like, you shouldn't hurt people, blah, blah, blah. Kinder, gentler America. We get it. But this is a pretty cool reference of that level of friendship. Okay. Um, your friend just comes to you and says, "Hey, I need you to come with me. You can't ask any questions. We're going to hurt some people." And his answer is, "Whose car are we taking?" Like, that's it. That's all. It's like, all right. You know I'm in, right? There's a lot of unsaid things that are being said there. And, you know, listen, he's a resilient guy. Um, he was in the Born Legacy movie whenever Ben Affleck or whenever Matt Damon took a little break from playing Born for a little while. I don't exactly know why. I'm sure it's probably a contract issue. Matt Damon is kind of famous for agreeing to projects and letting other projects pass him by, as in Avatar, where he was specifically told by James Cameron, "Hey, if you're an Avatar, I'll give you 10%." And he was like, "Nah, that's okay. I've already agreed to do this Bourne thing." And he missed out on a huge payday. I mean, let's just say it's huge. Okay. So anyway, back to Jeremy Renner. I hope he's doing well. It's nice to see that everyone regards him as a really nice guy and a really tough guy, and that his recovery is going well. So continued support, and I hope that all works out. All right. So enough about Jeremy Renner. Let's talk about where the crawdads sing. Now, my wife, my wife, uh, read this book. It came out in 2018 by Delia Owens. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Delia, Delia Owens. Um, and the book was a huge success. Almost every woman that I know was talking about reading this book and how great it was and how they just loved it. And there was a rumor that they were going to make a movie out of it. And I remember my wife saying, "Oh, when this comes out, I want to see it. I bet it'll be great." And I was like, "All right, cool." And the movie came out, and it was at the movie theater, and it was during a time where we couldn't get away to the movie theater. Thanks Rona for that. But it eventually came to streaming platforms such as Netflix. It's on Netflix now. You can watch it, or if you want to pay for it, you can pay for it on Redbox or YouTube or Vudu. I think it looks like it's $5.99 to watch it on those platforms, but it's free on Netflix. So if you got Netflix, just watch it. So anyway, the story is about. I'm going to read you the Google alert. Abandoned as a girl, Kaya raises herself in a dangerous marshland of North Carolina. For years, rumors of the Marsh Girl, I like how they just called her Marsh Girl for a large part of this, Marsh Girl, haunted Barclay Cove, isolating the sharp and resilient Kaya from her community. Drawn to two young men from town, she opens herself up in a new startling world. However, when one of them is found dead, Kaya immediately becomes the main suspect. As the case unfolds, the verdict as to what happened becomes increasingly unclear, threatening to reveal many secrets. Now, the movie came out in July of 2022. Um, looks like it did well at the box office, according to the information that I see here on the internet. Their budget for the movie was 24 million, and they grossed at the box office 140.2 million. So it's quite an investment return there. What is that? 6 times your initial investment. So good deal. Now, people from the north or people from places that aren't the Carolinas often say things like, "What's a crawdad?" And if you Google crawdads, you can see what they look like. They're kind of like tiny little lobsters. And yet, if you look on Google and it says in Where the Crawdad Sings, the value of beauty of nature is exemplified through the blue heron. And the blue heron, there's a cool scene in the beginning of the movie with it flying through the marsh and landing. And there's moments where you look at the blue heron, and if you don't know, the blue heron is a very big bird. Uh, not like yellow like Big Bird, but it's not blue like the color blue. It's more gray, but they call it a blue heron. Um, and these things eat crawdads on a regular basis. So I don't know why they call it Where the Crawdads Sing when they're being gobbled up by herons, unless it had some kind of duality of Kaya being swallowed up by the world around her and her singing being the survival of her self, raising herself as a kid. Now, I watched the movie. I did not read the book at all. Watched the movie. I was at first feeling very sorry for this girl who was her dad was an alcoholic and very abusive, and at a certain point her mama leaves with some kids and doesn't take her or her brother, and they tough it out together with the dad who continues to be a severe alcoholic. And at a certain point the boy runs away and she's left there with him, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to get really dark really quick. um it wasn't the abuse that I thought it was going to be, thank goodness. I hate seeing kids abused, even if it is a hypothetical situation in the movie. I know that it reflects things that really happen to people, and it just makes me angry. Part of the reason I joined the Marine Corps was to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. It makes me upset when I see harm coming to children, especially. Um, you know, why would you be an imposing factor upon someone who's a fraction of your size just because you're insecure about who you are, or just because you're unhappy about who you are? Uh, I mean, as kids, you're supposed to learn from the adults around you. And for most of us, well, I don't want to say for most of us, for some of us, let's say that. Let's look at the positive. For some of us, we see the examples that are before us as cautionary tales of what we don't want to be when we grow up. Or we see motivation to, I am going to get myself out of the situation, whatever it takes. And this resiliency that Kaya has is what I think people relate to the most. Now, that being said, I can see how this would be a great book because you could understand her thought process and things that are going on with her. As a movie, it's a really hard to represent a lot of her feelings. And so, as a movie, again, I didn't read the book. I'm just watching the movie. I'm watching it with sort of a very interesting eye of, okay, how are they going to show what she's learning, what she's figuring out, how she's surviving. Um, and I was impressed with the little girl in the beginning who was starving and realized at a certain point that the shop that her and her dad visit uh, would pay for mussels and clams. And she would go out early in the morning and she would collect them and bring them to this guy in town who ran a shop, and she would sell those to try to make money for food. And the shopkeeper and his wife both kind of knew what was going on, and they gave her a little extra here and there to help her out, as kind folks do sometimes. Um, she grows up, she falls in love with this boy. He's scared. He he doesn't reciprocate at a certain point and leaves, and then she thinks she's fallen for someone else, and the other guy ends up being the bad guy, and he tries to harm her. Um, there's a mystery in the middle. That boy dies. She's the suspect. It goes to court. It's an interesting time frame, the way they move forward and the way they move backwards in time to show you little bits here and there. And I would say on a movie scale, like if I'm doing this confused breakfast style, I gotta say, um, I give this about a 6.5 out of 10. I mean, it's an okay movie. The story's okay. It's not great. They do an okay job of making you care about her, but um, it's just okay for me. Yeah. So if you've read Where the Crawdads Sing, check out the movie just to see if it correlates with what you've read. I still can't get my wife to watch it, so go figure. She's usually up for that kind of thing, even though she doesn't watch many movies. I thought she would be up for watching this, and she's not. So the only actor, like right off the bat, that I recognized was David Strathairn. He plays a lawyer, Tom Milton, in the movie. Um, there's a young girl in this, Jojo Regina. Um, she looks super familiar, and I can't picture where I've seen her before. She's been in something, but what? I want to check out her IMDb. Let's see. What has she been in? It says she's been in something called Spider and Jesse, The Chosen, Delight. She looks a lot like the young girl in the Walking Dead series that plays um, Rick Grimes' daughter. I don't think it's the same woman, the same young girl. I don't see a TV credit. I only see movie credits. So anyway, it's probably not her. While I'm here, let's look up The Walking Dead because I'm on the last season. Um, season 11. There's 11 seasons. Wow. And I have watched surprisingly all of them. Who plays Judith? That's what I should type in. Who plays Judith on Walking Dead? Right now, people who watch the show are like, "It's this girl. You guys don't know?" No, I don't know. Oh, apparently that doesn't work if you look it up on IMDb. Alrighty. Well, we'll go to the Google. All right, Google. Who plays Judith Grimes? Yeah, there we go. Judith Grimes is played by Sophia Garcia Frizzi. There we go. Sophia Garcia Frizzi. Okay, cool. That explains that. All right. So not the same girl. Looks very similar. But yeah, Where the Crawdads Sing, again, the 6.5. It's not bad. I do want to hear what my wife thinks about it though, because she's read the book, she was big into it, but I don't know why I can't get her to watch the thing. It seems like a uphill battle to get her to watch the movie about the show she watched. Unless she's talked to people and they're like, it's not the same, it's not as good, you're not gonna like it, that kind of thing. People like to poo-poo that kind of situation. So yeah, that's probably the case if I had to guess. All right, so let's talk about some other stuff. I watched something on Netflix. It's been out for a while. Glass Onion, Knives Out is the show. It is a star-studded cast. I mean, star-studded. Daniel Craig plays this. It's weird to watch him with a southern accent after watching him play 007 for so many years. But he plays this detective with a very southern accent. Edward Norton plays sort of a billionaire, semi-genius kind of a jerk. Uh, Kate Hudson plays someone very much like herself. She even has a joke in there about running a sweatshop where she makes sweatpants. Dave Bautista's in it. He plays a crazy character named Duke Cody. Perfect name. Love it. Catherine Hahn is in this. There's a bunch of people. Almost everybody you see on the screen, you're like, I've seen them in all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. Jackie Hoffman, uh, she plays Dave Bautista's mom, and at a certain point slaps him in the face. Ethan Hawke, Hugh Grant. It made me tickled when I saw Hugh Grant because he like answers the door for Daniel Craig as like his manservant or something. It was hilarious. Uh, Stephen Sondheim, Natasha Lyonne, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Serena Williams at a certain point or on a Zoom conference call with Daniel Craig while he's in the bathtub and they're playing some kind of game between them. It's it's silly. There's so much of this is silly and sort of poking fun at itself and poking fun at the rich and the famous and Epstein and Bill Gates and just all these people who take themselves way too seriously. It pokes fun at all of that. Um, this is a fun movie. I enjoyed watching it. I'm gonna rank it higher than Where the Crawdads Sing. I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. It is a mystery. You don't know who done it till the very end. Even if you think you know who done it, you don't until the very end. So I didn't see the first Knives Out. I heard it was okay, but I've heard people say that this one was way better. And I got to tell you, after watching this one, I don't know if I want to go back and watch the first one. I think I'm just good with this. And if they make more, I think I'm gonna watch them. But yeah, this was fun. I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10. Confused breakfast style. Yeah. And since I'm talking about confused breakfast, let me talk about the episode that I just finished. Confused breakfast. I listened to them do a podcast about heavyweights. Now, heavyweights was a cool movie. Uh, I remember watching it back in 95-ish time frame. This was when I guess I was still in the Marine Corps. Um, the the premise of heavyweights is, are you ready for the best summer of your life? Buckle up. We're headed to fat camp. Beneath the paunchy layer of weight jokes and lies in it lies a classic Disney moral lesson as Ben Stiller performance that haunts us in a good way. Camp Hope is actually a con for parents. Um, is Tony misunderstood for trying to help kids get healthy? Do we need another montage? I want candy. Oh, this is their breakdown of it. Anyway, it's hilarious. I watched this as a kid, or I watched this as a kid. I am a kid. I was a kid. That was half a lifetime ago. 95 was what? Over 20, almost 30 years ago? Yeah, a long time ago. 27 years ago. Whoa. Man, time flies. So, yeah, it's basically about these kids who go to fat camp. Judd Apatow was the writer director. He convinced a lot of celebrities to be in it. People who weren't celebrities then, who are now, I guess you could say. And it's kind of cute. Uh, but really, Ben Stiller makes the entire movie. There's a point where Ben Stiller leaves the movie, and you're thinking that should be it. And after you watch the next 13 minutes, you're like, yeah, they could have ended it when he left the show because he kind of was the show. Apparently, it was Ben Stiller's first movie, and he's over the top in this. He is a crazy character. He plays a guy who basically wants to take over a fat camp and help these kids actually get healthy, and yet he's seen as the bad guy. And at a certain point, they actually fight against him, and he really does turn into a bad guy towards the end. But for a large part, he's misunderstood as because they look at this camp as something they were supposed to have fun at, and he took it into this thing where they're actually going to lose weight, and they don't like it. So it's a weird thing where somehow Disney's on board with this. Uh, this was one of their projects. Yeah, so it's a fun listen to hear these guys on Confused Breakfast talk about it. I really loved the breakdown. I loved the inside information that they give, and it's really fun to hear them talk about it. Growing up as a larger kid and being encouraged to go outside a lot did help me lose weight. Thank goodness I was active enough not to have to go to a fat camp. But if I was, I think this camp would have been pretty neat to go to. Um, but yeah, I wonder, looking back, I wonder, did my mom get us an above ground pool to encourage me to get outside and be healthy? Because it worked. I mean, good Lord, I stayed in that pool a lot. It's actually pretty smart. I wonder if that thought was part of the process. I don't know. I'll have to ask her. So anyway, yeah, fun listen. I enjoyed it. All right. So where are we at? Oh, look, it's 22 minutes. Perfect timing. That's good enough for me. I did listen to Andrew Santino's new special, Cheeseburger. Pretty good. The ending joke was by far the best. Love it. Um, I love seeing him pop up in different movie projects and TV projects, and it was nice to see him get a Netflix special. So good for you, Andrew. Dig it. Okay, and that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here for this, and I hope to do more with you. And yeah, stick around. Who knows what I'll get into next? All right. Y'all take care. And as always, don't forget to review, subscribe, share with your friends, and cue.
So I want you guys to give me more likes. Give me more likes!